I had another tab here. Hold on. I had another tab here for like Sweet Baby Inc. And there was like this XOXO festival where this fucking Kim Belair talks about bullshit. Can I find it?
So welcome to the stage.
Hold on, you're gonna get double music for a second here. Oh, here we go. She put up this like collage. Is it up on the stream? I can't remember if I'm showing my browser or not. I am. Okay, good. She put up this collage of like all of the people who have been talking about Sweet Baby. And it's like, I like that one thumbnail that just says queer in big fucking letters. But they got Kyle, they got Gundam up here, they got Asmongold, they got fucking, I'm sure Side Scrollers is in here somewhere, right? Rev says Desu is in here. I fly so under the fucking radar, I'm not in this collage. That's great, man. I can keep doing what I do and they'll never notice. They'll never notice. Very dark clownfish, yeah. I only recognize some of the thumbnails because my brain doesn't work so well, but it's just like, god damn, she didn't even I don't make any lists, man. I don't make thumbnails to get note. Also true, my thumbnails are interesting. And Kyle is great too. I keep calling him Sile, but apparently it's pronounced Kyle and I'm just retarded. It's because I don't have killer thumbnails. And the anime racism, I guess, protects me. How did I even make the yelling sound and the alert? I have no idea, honestly. I'm the undercover operative. Actual undercover operative. And it's like, let me play this first minute, because this is like a 21-minute video, man. That's a long-ass video. But like, man, she is crazy.
So welcome to the stage, Kim Belair.
Hello, I'm Kim Belair. In my circles, I'm largely considered, I think, a relatively nice person. These are my dogs, Sage and Flaky. These are my cats, Tag and the Gray Boy. I really enjoy Lego. I collect skulls and taxidermy. And I also really like playing a lot of video games, including Elden Ring. By day, I am the crazed CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., the D.E.I.-obsessed censorship mafia who is currently ruining and wokeifying all of the video games that you've ever played. Thank you.
You know the audience if they cheer for that.
Thank you, it's hard work. If you haven't heard of Sweet Baby Inc., thank you. That's actually how I prefer it. But if you have, it's either because of the over 80 amazing and often award-winning games that we've worked on, or actually one of those, Usual June, was at this very conference. So yeah, you've either heard us from all of these wonderful games, or perhaps you're familiar with the nearly year-long hate campaign that has been waged against us as a team.
You can't have a hate campaign waged against a company. You can have consumer backlash against a company. And it's crazy how they keep saying it's a year-long harassment campaign when the only reason they blew up majorly, right? Because again, I was talking about them before Alan Wake released last year. But the thing that really kicked them off in the comment YouTuber kind of sphere is when that one guy went after Cabrutus and tried not only getting his Steam group taken down, but also saying, hey, this guy seems to care about his Steam account. How about we get that taken away from him too? Which is actual harassment. But these people wouldn't know what actual harassment is because they have to lie about harassment in order to twist themselves into the victims instead of the people who are perpetuating hate campaigns.
Unfortunately, today I'm here to talk about that in a talk I'm going to call What Happens When You Get Harassed? A Sweet Baby Story. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Who is Sweet Baby Inc.? We are a narrative development company, and we are a team of narrative developers. What that means is that we do script writing, storytelling, narrative work for video games, and sometimes...
And as she's explaining exactly what they do and how they impact games, you can remember all of the Sweet Baby employees All of the journalists who were cocksucking for them running all over Twitter saying, they don't even do anything. They don't even have the power to affect the games in the way that you all think they do. You're just being crazy and attacking people who enjoy video games. All they're doing is lying because that is all they know how to do. And this is how they keep getting hired in the industry. They pretend to be the victims after they harass people. They pretend to be the victims after they agitate and attack people, after they go after people's families, after they have people like Alyssa Mercante, who goes after people like Smash JT's wife. You have all of these people acting in lockstep, causing actual damage. And then they get to go on and make presentations to developers where they're just like, oh, we're the victims. It's the gamers who are crazy.
Sometimes that means that we come in for writing punch-ups. Sometimes that means we're the entire writer's room for a project. Sometimes that means we're coming in very, very early on and helping them start the groundwork, the world building. But what I want to really stress...
And when they come in early on and they start the groundwork and the world building, that also gives them an opportunity to say later on, we didn't change anything in the development process. It was like that from the beginning. This is what the developer wanted. So that they take heat off of them and put more of it on the developer. And they're partially correct. You shouldn't only be hating on Sweet Baby for what they do. You should be angry at the developers that continuously hire Sweet Baby and have their games get fucked up to the point that they do. Sweet Baby cannot act on their own. They might threaten developers, but developers can still say no.
Is that all of our work focuses very heavily and very seriously on story. That is what narrative development is. We started out in 2018, but it was really in 2020 that we kind of came to any kind of industry prominence. And it was on a backdrop of the COVID quarantine, sending everybody home from the office. Me Too sweeping through the games industry as various bad actors were named and shamed appropriately, I should say. And also the Black Lives Matter protests were in full swing. At the time...
Imagine that. They set up a grifting company. I guess I shouldn't call it grifting because they do believe in what they're doing. They set up a dismantling company. And they didn't mention George Floyd, but they did mention the protests. And we know how all of these people love to mention the circumstances of St. Floyd.
Industry was kind of responding in the way you might imagine, with a lot of corporate overpromising, but within the writing sphere there were a lot of offers for portfolio reviews, like, hey, if you're a marginalized or especially a Black dev, we would love to give you a portfolio review. And I want to say I love portfolio reviews. It's something that we also do at Sweet Baby for free, so if anybody in the audience right now is looking for a little bit of a portfolio review or wants
Remember that Sweet Baby also said that even if your friends do not have the experience to work in the industry, if you have extra budget, hire your friends so that they can get experience to be able to work in the industry. So we know that Sweet Baby hires people who are not qualified for positions that they are being given, because they want to help transform what the industry is.
Talk about video games, we'd love to do that. But the problem with portfolio reviews is that they also assume that it's a meritocracy, right? They assume the problem is your portfolio and not the fact that maybe there's a lot of other reasons that you are not getting the gig. So knowing that there were a myriad problems to be solved, we created an email called talk@Sweet Baby Inc. And we just said, hey, if you're a developer who wants to get into the industry, if you're someone who's already in the industry and you want to talk, just talk to us. And so in that year, we ended up with a lot of people who we connected to, and we talked a lot about advocacy. We talked a lot about helping people get into the industry, and we also talked a lot about the importance of telling stories from a variety of perspectives, and especially of having those writers and those creators in the room to help you with that. And as we joined new conversations, as we worked on more projects, more people joined our team. And so in that year, or in those subsequent years, we grew from a team of only...
Man, these are horrible looking cartoon pictures, but also, hey, there's that Cameron guy that I talked about. Ew, corpo art. Yeah, pretty much.
5 to a team of 16 incredibly talented people. And during that time, As you might imagine, a lot of game teams were looking for guidance, both in terms of narrative, but also in terms of learning how to tell diverse stories and feature diverse characters. And so naturally,
games have featured quote-unquote diverse characters forever, and they didn't need consultants on how to make those quote-unquote diverse characters, because those characters were well written and they weren't written around their identity. They just were. They were good characters. Can't have attractive women, man.
Because we were kind of in that conversation, we helped them. Throughout the years, again, we worked on, as I said, a ton of games. For most of these, we did writing, story development. Sometimes we just kind of came on and did spot checks. But the thing that genuinely made me really, really proud of all of us was that we were living up to the title that I had wanted to. We were becoming true narrative developers, capable of taking on pretty much any task as far as it touched story on any project at any time.
And that's true, actually. That's very true. They did become successful narrative designers, because look at the games that they were able to work on, that they were able to push their ideology in. These weren't all just literal Who indie games. There was God of War, there was Alan Wake. They've had a hand in Spider-Man. They were able to get on these big fucking titles that they had no business being in order to push their ideology. Because these are people who don't care about good games, they care about ideology first and above all else.
That expertise was a result of all the different kinds of work that we were doing. For those not in the industry or not familiar with it, most game writers in their entire careers will see 5 to 10 projects as just, a lifetime. And we would see that many projects in a matter of months.
Shouldn't that be a red flag to almost anyone? That if the majority of game writers see 4 to 5 projects in their entire career, and you guys are seeing 4 to 5 a week, shouldn't that raise red flags to people? Like,
And what happens when you work on that many projects and you get to see the inside of so many processes is that you don't learn necessarily like, oh, here are the ins and outs of working in this specific company. You instead hyper-focus on narrative and all of its parts, and you get really good at it. You get really, really specific at it, and you
get really, really good at injecting your ideology in places where it doesn't belong, and then every single game that comes out has the exact same narrative and the exact same sloppa that nobody wants to fucking play.
Craftspeople. And funnily enough, as far as this company is concerned, that was actually my end game. I wanted us to become craftspeople because when I was a kid, I learned a lot about Carrie Fisher. And beyond her acting career, she was actually a very respected script doctor in Hollywood. And I remember finding that so fascinating and really, really striking because quite famously, she was someone who struggled a lot with the eye of fame. But it was so comforting and interesting to hear that in this community of artists and writers, she was deeply respected just for her craft. And if I'm being honest, just as a creative myself, that's all I've really ever wanted. I've never wanted to be known by audiences, really. I have never wanted to be known by gamers, certainly. And I've wanted to be...
Yeah, I wanted to work as a game narrative consultant director because I didn't want to be known by gamers, those filthy, filthy, misogynistic gamers. Why would you laugh at that? Why would you laugh at not wanting to be known by the audience you are making things for? I hate women. You swear when the apocalypse happens, you're eating cats and dogs in front of them. What the fuck? I wanted to push my politics secretly. Yeah, I know she wanted to be stealthy, but it's a weird thing to say out loud, right? Like, we know that they wanted to be able to covertly put their ideology in these games without being noticed, which is why Kabrutus's list was such an issue for them in the first place. Even though he was just reposting what they had on their website, it was a problem because more people were going to notice what they were working on, and their name would become a black mark to people in the industry because of how much pushback they'd be getting. And if companies are getting pushback for working with Sweet Baby, then their tactic of bullying developers into believing that the developers need Sweet Baby in order to avoid being bullied by gamers on social media isn't going to work as well. The Sweet Baby site's now on lockdown. Yeah, I saw a tweet about that.
I have wanted to be known by game devs and writers especially. I want teams and studios and writers and creatives to think of us when they need a hand, when they want that more support. I want to be a game dev's game dev, and that's where I hoped it would be. But
as an ideologue, the more game devs that listen to Sweet Baby and that give in to Sweet Baby deserve to have all of their staff lose their jobs and for them to lose their company. This is just where we are at. Voting with your wallet is what you can do as an average person. And when you vote with your wallet, there are going to be negative consequences for the people who are doing things in the industry that nobody wants. And so they can cry and they can scream about how mean we are for praising when they lose their jobs. But we want people in the industry who care about making games, who are passionate about making games, not driving ideology or pushing a specific political narrative. We just want fun games again. Not fun games with a subversive undertone of ideology so that you can eventually overtly start pushing it. Actually just fun again.
that is not what happened. Because in October of 2023, we had about 70 games under our belt at the time, but two of them, two very, very big ones, were about to drop within a week of each other. So on October 23rd, there was Spider-Man 2, and then on October 27th, there was Alan Wake 2, both big AAA games, and we had worked on narrative and character for both of them with literally years of work on Spider-Man 2, and we would finally get to announce them. We were very excited. In retrospect, we were actually comically excited because we had a couple thousand followers at the time, mostly game devs, and we were like, okay, it's time to stand up and be proud of our work. Wow. This is gonna be really nice.
I don't understand, right? I understand that these people hate the gaming consumers, that they hate the people who actually play video games, and they want to transform the game industry. They want to burn it down in its current iteration and make the games more ideology-driven and less for people like you and I who just want to play fun games. They want the modern audience. They want to help create the modern audience in lockstep with what B.R.I.G.E is doing with other corporations, what Hollywood had been doing in regular media. But what I don't understand is, do they genuinely not expect the backlash to be as big as it is? They always make jokes about the harassment. Do they expect that the majority of gamers will just give up and buy the sloppa anyways, and so they don't understand how much pushback they're going to get? Or do they understand the amount of pushback they're going to get, and with that amount of pushback, they will just co-opt it, lie about it, change history, and say that actually all of these people who are upset are the bad guys the whole time? This is why we need to transform the industry. This is why narrative companies like us are necessary in order to get rid of these types of people who are trying to prevent regular people from getting into gaming. This is why we're needed. We need to transform the industry and make it better. Which path is exactly the one that they're going on here? Because when you deal with people who do nothing but lie and subvert like Sweet Baby, you can't take anything they say at face value. You have to try and figure out what they're trying to say in between the words that are actually coming out of their mouths.
And I remember even thinking that morning as we made these posts, I wonder if anyone's going to notice that, we posted about Spider-Man, we're also posting about Alan Wake. Will anyone put it together? Because I think our way of working at Sweet Baby, the kind of teamwork that we do on so many different games is really, really unique. I think it's really cool. I think people will be excited about it and about our craft. So
the way that we inject our ideology and DEI into games is really cool and unique. I mean, yeah, I guess it is unique because most other people don't want to inject sloppa into their games that'll piss off their entire audience, but who the fuck am I guess?
I decided to do a cheeky Google and see, like, hey, had anyone put that together? The Google went bad. I shouldn't have done it because rather than any praise or people going, wow, how did you do it? Or just, hey, a narrative development company, what does that mean? I'm really interested. We were instead found by kind of 4chan and the worst people on Twitter.
I remember reading articles about how Kiwi Farms broke the news about Sweet Baby Inc. And I was like, man, my literal Who armor really is fucking thick. If you ever thought every modern AAA feels written by exactly the same people, it's because they basically are. Thanks, NeoGaf. Every AAA American game studio has been outsourcing their game writing to the shitty ESG-obsessed company. Also true, coming from Reddit, which is surprising. Sweet Baby Inc. are basically a branch of BlackRock that consults on ESG in gaming. If you want ESG funding, you need to pass the ESG scores by this company. Okay, well they're not a branch of BlackRock, right? They receive funding through many different arms of venture capitalism. Technically, there is an arm of the Canadian government that has given money to one of the venture capital companies that gives money to Sweet Baby Inc. So you could go with that one. The most sinister actors in any industry often hide behind a harmless or infantile mask to conceal their true intentions. This organization has completely infiltrated the industry. I like how this just says youtube.com. Like fucking hoomst on you. You can't just quote youtube.com, lady. So what? Kind of weird how they mention the chans, but none of these quotes are from 4chan. Yeah, because 4chan is the big bad meanie man of the internet. The fuck is the caption about the FBI on the bottom about? There were some people who were trying to say that the Sweet Baby logo was the same as the logos for sexualization of children. There's a pink butterfly logo and then the blue spiral you see depending on whether it's for little boys or little girls. I don't remember the full thing. This was all from Pizzagate kind of stuff. I don't think the Sweet Baby logo has anything to do with child predation. I think it's weird that they all have some sort of childlike language with all of their companies. But I think the childlike language is to make them appear more innocent and more good rather than any sort of harm to children kind of thing. It's the whole we're sweet innocent babies, we couldn't do anything wrong kind of subversion, right? Like the it's Black Lives Matter, how could you disagree with that, you racist bigot?
And looking back, there is a funny element to it where I go people were kind of talking I've discovered a secret Canadian company. These are the guys who did it. And the discovery that they had made was actually our public-facing website.
She laughs about this, right? She's the discovery they made was our public-facing website. Then why did you get mad about it? Why did you get mad and try to take down Kabrutus' Steam group and his own personal Steam account when he was just reposting what was on your public website? How come a few minutes ago in this very presentation you were saying, we didn't want to be known by gamers, we wanted to kind of do this stuff behind the scenes, we only wanted to be known by game developers? So weren't you trying to do it in secret so that most of us wouldn't find out what you were doing? How can you not even go 8 minutes without lying and contradicting yourself? Honestly.
That we advertise our services on, and which you can go to right now if you'd like to collaborate with us or just learn more. It's not hidden. And if it is, it's very bad because it's at sweetbabyinc.com.
Then why did you scrub your entire website recently? Why'd you do that? I'm pretty sure this was after the website scrubbing as well. When was this article published? October 11th. Yeah, this was after they scrubbed their website. So please, dude, what are you talking about?
But literally within a few hours of me seeing that first post, we were not only being accused of, forcing a black person into Alan Wake, which one is cool, but we didn't do. And
we didn't do it, but if we did, that's a good thing. These people are actual fucking parody. Holy shit.
Also of putting pride flags into Spider-Man's New York, which, again, so good, love to see them, but we were not responsible for them. But suddenly...
Didn't Spider-Man also use the incorrect flag for, like, the nationality in the game? Like, didn't they use, like, a Cuban flag instead of a Puerto Rican flag or some shit? So, like, you wanted to make sure that there was representation in the game via the pride flags, but you couldn't get the nationality flag correct. Use the Cuban flag instead of Puerto Rican. Holy shit, how did I remember that? I didn't even play the game summoning Azehara. How dare she be racist toward my mud hut man?
We were being told that we were, funded by BlackRock, and that actually we weren't a narrative development company. We were a D.E.I. company, some kind of vaguely defined, like, censor.
And see, because people tried tying them to BlackRock, she's going to be able to repeat that ad infinitum to just discount everyone's sort of criticism of the company. They are a D.E.I. company. That is what they do. She can say narrative consultant all she fucking wants, but we know what kind of narrative they are driving. We know what these ideologues are doing. I don't think they have a connection to BlackRock. Maybe they do somewhere down the chain of venture capitalism, but I haven't been able to find it. So she's going to be able to say that and be like, look, these people are just making shit up. They're conspiracy theorists. Why take anything they say seriously? I want to become a skeleton.
Well, Jasper, thank you for the 48-month tier 3 resub. Thank you.
And that we were here to use all of the power we had amassed to force companies to go woke. And obviously that's a very baffling, understanding of what work for hire is. I'm not sure how they imagined we did it or how the contracts would be drawn up for it, but...
Because you literally said if the company doesn't understand why they need you, sit down with their marketing director and just strike fear into them about what will happen if they don't give you what you want. Those are your words, woman, and we're not going to let you forget them.
It kind of didn't matter because it just kept evolving and spinning out of control, and suddenly the conspiracy was just alive. They were finding photos of...
It wasn't spinning out of control. People were getting more information about just how crazy you and your employees are. There's not a single person that I have seen speak publicly that works at Sweet Baby who hasn't been just an insane ideological thrall.
Us, sometimes our families or our contractors, they were doxing me and other members of the team. Anyone calling these attacks out as doxing was accused of doxing themselves or lashing out.
Did anyone in Sweet Baby get doxed? I know Alyssa Mercante had issues with that, but that was after she doxed somebody else. And then other people were just like, you know what? If you're going to live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. Right? So like what kind of doxing happened to Sweet Baby? Because I'm not aware of it. I could just have missed it. Right? I could have just missed. Maybe it happened. Didn't they literally call for someone's doxing? I'm pretty sure it was also Alyssa Mercante. I could be wrong, and it could have been another shitty journalist. But I'm pretty sure it was Alyssa Mercante who joined the Sweet Baby Detected Discord and was like, how come none of you are using real pictures or your real names? Are you hiding from something? Bitch. As they doxed people, yeah, she got reverse doxing. I'm going to use their same logic. Mercante absolutely doxed people, which is how I know she got doxed afterwards. But like, I don't know any of the Sweet Baby Inc. employees that had any doxing happen to them. And I feel like with the people that are appearing in my feed on Twitter, I definitely would have seen that. I haven't seen anybody talking about Kim Belair getting doxed or Cameron or any of the other people, especially the guy that tried ruining Cabrutus. I don't think even he had his docs released. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, feel free to give me links to show me. But I have not heard of anything. Funny these fuckers say we're the victims after they attacked Sweet Baby Inc. Detected and tried to get him and his group screwed. Yes. Never forget that they are the ones who cast the first shot. They fired first. Pretty sure they wanted to dox Cabrutus. Wouldn't fucking surprise me, honestly.
That's me. I'm the CEO. I have issues.
You do.
But yeah, this
do.
went on for weeks. And
Mr. Harmful Onions was correct. You do have issues. Good thumbnail.
and then months. At its peak, which was somewhere around like February, March of this year, we were getting something like 300 emails a day, which admittedly some of those are going to be spam or bots or whatever it is, but they were often accompanied by death threats, threats to our family. We did have one bomb threat made to the police that they contacted us about, and at best, the nicest thing you would see in some of these spaces was that we were a punchline. But any defenders were really, really shouted down quite quickly.
Because who the fuck can defend this? Unless you are also an ideological thrall who wants your ideology and political preferences to permeate and be above a good story and a good game, who would defend this?
Moments when this movement couldn't dig up like another reason to attack us, they would just kind of move on to other groups who they perceived to be like us, all while doing the work of erasing all of those people's and our actual jobs and interest and papering over it with kind of that rallying cry of far-right supremacy, D.E.I.
And far-right supremacy? What does she mean by this? What did she mean by this? Oh, fuck off. Nothing is worse than a self-righteous busybody. Good lord, dude. For the God Emperor. I have no idea what the fuck she's talking about here.
And as ridiculous and stupid as it all was, I actually was not prepared for the escalation of it when noted buffoon and Twitter CEO Elon Musk decided that he would chime in with his very cool thoughts.
I didn't see this either. Sweet Baby Inc. is an evil blight on the gaming industry. All they do is make games terrible and try to cancel people. They cannot go broke soon enough. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Elon. You might have destroyed a good portion of Twitter, but at least you still have some nice opinions. Where's the lie? She's talking to other people in the industry, so she has to make themselves at Sweet Baby sound like the victim so that the people in the industry will continue to hire her and also feel bad for all of the unwarranted hate she's getting. A noted buffoon. Noted buffoon, Elon Musk, by the way.
Yeah. Some very cool, very good thoughts in there. Lots to think about. So this was hard the whole time. Like, not since the beginning, it wasn't great. But
Aw, how hard. You couldn't push your ideology unnoticed anymore. Aw.
we were receiving countless emails, all this constant hate. It was targeted enough to feel disconcerting even when it was kind of silly, and it was also kind of drowning out the support. But when Elon chimed in, it really made me realize the scale of it, because the richest man in the world was suddenly turning like the Eye of Sauron onto 16 people trying to make a pretty modest living in the industry that they love.
Nope, get out of the fucking industry. Stop, hold on, I'm gonna replay that because she's about to say they like the industry.
To 16 people trying to make a pretty modest living in the industry that they love, and he was arguing for our collapse.
Good, you should collapse, and I hope you do. I hope everyone at Sweet Baby loses their job. I'm not going to take the high road of some of the other fucking YouTube people who are like, oh, well, we don't like seeing people lose their jobs. No, these people do not love the games industry. They do not love gaming. They love having a vehicle to push their ideology. They love co-opting and subverting things that people love and turning it into garbage for the modern audience that they wish to create. These are bad actors. These are people fighting in the culture war. And if you don't want the culture war to infect something you love, you should also be hoping these people lose their jobs.
And this meant that, it was when this happened and when it got bigger than this, you can tell I got it early as a screenshot, but
they should be able to get jobs somewhere else where they're not able to control a narrative, where they're not able to print their ideology and try to have it transform culture. Fuck the high road.
It made us realize that this was huge. We were being attacked in a massive and coordinated campaign of harassment, and
that's because you are the cancer on the industry that must be cut out.
That sucks. but it does get me closer to the question of what happens when you get harassed. So first of all, just
Your company, you can't be
as a spoiler,
harassed.
like what happens when you get harassed is it sucks. I can't recommend it. If I had to rate the experience, like 1.5 stars.
Despair, sadness, doxing, threats of death and violence. Richest man in the world does a curse on you. I wish he could do a curse, man. Plus Wikipedia page, plus XOXO talk, plus become very good at Elden Ring. Chat, I made a tweet the other day about how the Wikipedia page has been not able to be trusted for a very long time. I was quote retweeting a man that was tweeting about the Wikipedia article for the grooming gangs being changed to some sort of conspiracy theory thing. Woe, despair be upon you.
Stars probably, it's not the best.
Yeah, moral panic,
But
that's what they said. Thank you.
more specifically, what happened during all of this, if I can kind of dig down into this review, is, we lost our voice.
You didn't lose your voice, but I can only hope that it happens sooner rather than later. Developers need to stop hiring Sweet Baby and companies like Sweet Baby. And even more so than that, they need to not only not hire these consultation companies, but they shouldn't have inside consultation where they're doing the work of Sweet Baby inside their companies without someone visible like Sweet Baby to point to, which is what B.R.I.D.G.E is wanting to have happen.
And we didn't just lose our voice as a collective, we lost our voices individually because people on our team were either hounded off of social media or, they get attacked so consistently that it just becomes frustrating to use.
I mean, did they think that fighting a culture war, they would just be able to roll over everyone and they would have like zero opposition? Like, I just don't understand this. Please pity me for attacking people and getting backlash. I don't. What is this mindset and who actually believes it?
It's not enjoyable to hop on anywhere and get that wave of hate. So within Sweet Baby, beyond what we do for work, there are
on the day after my birthday.
Cookie!
Today is a good day.
Oh man, I had crumble cookies for the first time the other day. Those things are soft as fuck. They're soft as fuck, man.
authors, there are comic book creators, there are TTRPG creators, game designers, people who have other work that they want to share with the world, that they should be allowed to share with the world.
Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't lose their voice. They were being challenged. They were absolutely being challenged.
But just for existing within our company, just for working on the games that they do, they were attacked. Even contractors, people who literally worked with us for a spot check, a week or a couple months. But there was really nothing we could do. And as silly as it is, and as little as I miss the current Twitter, as little as I regret leaving it, the loss of frivolity and, frankly, dumb bullshit is actually a little soupçon of dehumanization. Because I would love to post a picture of my latte or my dogs without people going oh, I guess coffee is woke now, and hey, that dog is pretty gay.
I don't think trying to make light and just kind of joking about the criticisms that you are facing is going to work very well here. Right? I'm sure there are some people who are just oh my god, gay dog. Much like the same people who are oh, there's a woman in it, that means it's woke. There are going to be those low IQ retards for fucking sure, but they're not the bulk of the criticism that this company is facing. You flashing your latte is gay. We lost our voice, she says, while on stage in a room full of people who agree with her. Also a good point. We lost our voice because we're finally being challenged in the mainstream after having ruined 70 plus games. Now people have finally taken notice and, we've lost a lot because of that. What's that flag? It's, it's a country where strange people come from, Mari_en. They used to just be a beautiful rainbow flag, and then they got conquered, unfortunately.
But we weren't allowed. We are no longer allowed to be in the conversation without, what amounts to mass targeting. Look at him up there. And don't get me wrong.
We're not allowed to be in the conversation without mass targeting and harassment, which actually means we can't just do our bullshit unchallenged anymore. People are angry at what we're doing, and that's wrong.
People did defend us. Some very, very great folks, like often writers, game devs, people who he had worked with, people he had not worked with, who could see this thing for what it was. But while I appreciated the defense and the team appreciated it so much, that support is still really hard to feel in the panic of the moment. And so instead, I felt really guilty. I felt responsible. Like, I felt bad, not for doing the job that I love, but for building a space that was meant to be protective and creative for a bunch of people, and having it turn into something that, through no fault of our own, saw my friends and my loved ones and my colleagues and my coworkers just viciously and brutally hurt.
You can't make me believe that the by any means necessary type people are feeling this level of empathy. This is like the sociopath being like, if I lie and pretend to know what this empathy feeling is like, people will feel pity for me and I will get more support.
I felt bad for making a company at all. I felt bad for believing in it and for speaking on it. People would come up to me, especially at events, like I went to GDC, and they would very kindly tell me that they're inspired by me or by...
She lost her voice and she's not able to have a conversation, but she's able to go to all of these events and be told by people that she inspires them. That's how you know you've really lost your voice and you're not allowed to talk about anything, is when you get platformed at events instead of blacklisted from them. Right? Right?
Us and by our collective strength and our resilience. And I would say thank you so much, but deeply I would feel very ashamed, which intellectually I know is wrong, right? We are doing something good. We are writers and designers of tremendous skill and tremendous experience, and we've...
No, there's no skill or experience in what you do. It is all ideologically driven, and that's why everything you work on turns to shit. And why some people even try to convince themselves, oh, despite the fact that Sweet Baby worked on Alan Wake or worked on God of War, they were good games anyways. The people that give that kind of leeway are the ones who open the door for Sweet Baby to do things like Spider-Man. They open the door for Sweet Baby to push farther and harder in the other games that they make.
Never censored anything, nor have we ever wanted to. Frankly, if you really want my opinion, I think largely games could be hornier. I think they should be darker.
Did she just say the games could be hornier? In the era of making all women incredibly fucking ugly? What did she mean by this? She means safe horny.
They should be stranger. At the core of my approach here, and the approach that we take as a company, I genuinely believe that representation is not censorship, it is innovation. Diversity in narrative makes things more intense. It can make it more visceral and more real. It doesn't have to always make something...
And remember, when these people talk about diversity, they don't mean the actual definition of diversity. They mean less white people, less men, less straight relationships in video games. This is what their diversity means.
More wholesome or softer. I really do believe that by opening up to new perspectives, by getting folks in the room, we actually push more boundaries and we get more real. But what happens when you get harassed is it doesn't matter what you believe. What's also frustrating is that it doesn't matter what they believe either, because so much of this campaign is just misinformation. It's assumptions and lies about who we are, what we do, and what we want. We have worked on 80 games, as I've...
You've accused us of being ideologically driven, and that's just not true, as you can see by all of the ideology we've stuffed into these games that nobody likes.
Said before, and I think that's pretty cool, but to them it's something closer to 200. We have our little fingers, our woke little fingers, in every pie in this industry. And
there are people who do that. They'll say like, oh, this is Sweet Baby's fault, when Sweet Baby didn't actually work on a game. But Sweet Baby is, again, not the only consultation company. Back when I first talked about Sweet Baby in October of 2023, I was like, Sweet Baby is going to become a problem, but they're not going to be the only problem. And then after Sweet Baby blew up and everyone was like, oh my god, the sky is falling, everything is Sweet Baby's fault. It's like, Sweet Baby has fucked up a lot of games. Developers should not be hiring them, but there are other consultation companies. They are just one head of the Hydra. You cannot blame absolutely everything on this one company, because they will be able to use that as a defense. They'll be able to say, hey, look, they're saying Concord is woke. We didn't work on Concord, so they don't even know what they're talking about. You can't take their criticism seriously.
And that's the other thing that happens, right? They take away your power in some ways, but they also ascribe to you this enormous power.
Because you do have an enormous power. You guys have embedded yourselves in the gaming industry and have been able to push ideology unopposed for far too long. And then as soon as people start noticing and they start saying, hey, we don't want this in our games. Hey, we didn't notice that you put this in the game before. Why did you do this? That's not you losing your power. That's you being challenged. You losing your power would be what we actually want as the end goal. Sweet Baby disbanded, all of your employees blacklisted from the gaming industry. Nobody who has an ideological preference and who puts that ideology above making a good game can work in the gaming industry again. That would be you losing your power. Right now, you have all of the power because you can go up and give these talks and lie and delegitimize criticisms against you by using fringe cases of low IQ people who don't know what they're talking about. You get to go to GDQ, you get to go to XOXO, you get to go to all of these places and lie and pretend to be a victim. And people will believe you because you're speaking to a room of people who also hate the gamers that they are making games for. And it's very unfortunate we've gotten to this point.
They will claim that you are rich, that you are backed by, shadowy cabals, government orgs. They claim you have the ability to force their favorite studios to bend to your whim.
And you also claimed that you do that. You claimed, once again, as I said earlier, if a developer doesn't understand why they need you, sit down with their marketing team and strike fear into them. If they don't give you what you want, things will be bad for them. You admitted this yourself. You cannot lie about something that is easily available for everyone to look at.
Rather than the truth, which is that studios and teams hire us to make stories better. Not woker, but actually better.
Except you do inject DEI into the narratives you work on, unfortunately. And the developers shouldn't be hiring you. The developers do deserve a level of ire for being the people who hire Sweet Baby in the first place. Sweet Baby can't ruin these games without the consent of the developers giving them money to do so. The developers are also to blame.
And believe me, when this first started, I was so worried that studios would stop working with us. I worried we seemed too toxic. I worried we seemed too dangerous, too beleaguered, too much of a risk to work with, but that is not what happened.
Okay, then again, how are you being suppressed? How are your voices not being heard? How have you lost any power if there was a massive backlash and, in your own words, perceived harassment campaign, and you even thought maybe we'd be too toxic for companies to work with, and yet they're still working with you?
What happened was, at least privately, every team we worked with was quite supportive. The external silence, I'll say, was deafening at times and also frustrating, but such is the way of corporate. And
this is a sign here. If she's coming out on stage, right, all she does is lie, so this could be another lie. But based on what I know with B.R.I.G.E and how companies want to make their DEI less public, more subversive, more insular to the company so that they can spread it farther and faster than they can having to deal with backlash from us, why would I not believe her when she says that even though publicly companies weren't defending them, internally companies are still willing to work with them and want to work with them? That means that every company that has hired Sweet Baby, unless they come out and make a public statement saying, we will not hire these consultants, we will not do ideologically driven narratives in a game, you can't believe them. You cannot give these companies money until you know that they are putting making good games ahead of any kind of ideology.
it was still nice fundamentally, I think, to realize that studios, teams, and individuals still wanted us around and still saw our value.
And this is again why, despite how much I would like to play the Silent Hill remake, I'm not going to. I'm not going to play it because they had a consultation company. I can't even remember the name. It's not Sweet Baby, it's a different consultation company. They had one of these DEI companies working on Silent Hill 2. Why would I give the developers money, even if the amount of subversion is minimal in Silent Hill 2, to signal to the developers, yes, keep hiring these consultants, yes, let the consultants do more? Why would I do that? Hit Detection, thank you guys. Hit Detection was the name of the company that worked on Silent Hill 2. And so it's just like, I don't want to give them money. And especially with Kim saying, yeah, you know, these companies, they still support us, even if it's only privately. If the companies are still supporting these kinds of consultation companies, again, why would I give them money? It's only going to get worse.
Which I will say, though, is also a very disorienting experience, because what happens when you get harassed is that you realize that most of it is just noise and that nothing functionally or fundamentally changes. People say,
But I thought you just said that you're being silenced. I thought you just said that you're losing power. What do you mean that the people causing you to lose power and lose your voice actually aren't doing anything at all? They're just noise. It's meaningless.
so sorry for what you're dealing with, but could I get that script on Monday? And you say, yeah, it sucks. Anyway, I will get that to you Monday, though, because there is no time off. There is no stop in video game production. You can monetize a hate video, but there is no hazard pay for harassment. And we are not, you know, despite what you may have heard, so moneyed that we can just take a break or take a vacation and chill.
That's true. The work never ends, chat. She should have a sit down with Sasha and talk about how she fills her cup because the work is endless.
So by day we worked, and meanwhile, all around us, the noise continues. And this is here because I remember one evening I was coming home and I was like, all right,
I don't remember anyone complaining about DEI in Yakuza. I only remember people complaining about Yongye being the voice of Kiryu because it didn't fucking fit at all.
dealt with too much today. I'm just going to relax by going to the Yakuza subreddit, which I have to say 99% of the time.
Who the fuck says I'm going to relax by reading a subreddit? That's like if I told you guys, yeah, I doom scroll on Twitter to relax. All of you would call me a fucking liar. It's not relaxing, it's kind of amusing at times.
It's a wonderful space. It's very funny and the people are pretty nice. But not even thinking, I scrolled past a joke about Sweet Baby Inc. And the thing is, in service of this great subreddit, it was actually well-intentioned. It was not a joke intended to make fun of us. It was intended to make fun of the campaign. But the strangeness of it still, of it being everywhere, of it feeling inescapable, but meaning nothing in my day-to-day was too utterly bizarre. And
that's kind of interesting. Is inescapable in her day-to-day, but it means nothing. What else are they trying to make inescapable in your day-to-day? And they're telling you is supposed to mean nothing because it's just how things are supposed to be. It's very interesting wording there, Miss Belair.
And beyond just having to mute a wonderful, wonderful safe place for myself, I also wanted to quit. I wanted to leave the company. I wanted to do something else. I'll tell you that running a self-funded business in a very volatile industry is very—
I don't believe her for a single fucking second. She set up this company because she wanted to push ideology in an entertainment sector that was going to be, in her opinion, easy to co-opt. And it was for a while, because she said they have 70 fucking titles. And people didn't notice until Alan Wake and Spider-Man. So they were able to go unopposed for a pretty fucking long time. Absolutely no way she's going to want to dismantle her ideologically driven company. Her saying she wanted to quit is literally only for more pity points from the audience that she is lying to.
Very hard on a good day, especially when you do something with us. But it's hard, let alone when like Elon Musk is like crawling bleary-eyed out of his money pit to tell us that we deserve to go broke. It's a disaster. But what happens when you get harassed is also that you realize all you have is each other. And you can maybe call it trauma bonding, but when there are no prizes and no funds and no vacations and as compensation, right? And the only thing you have on your plate is suddenly your widely derided work, you also start to make more space for each other. You start to recognize that the work will sometimes feel thankless, but that you still love it. And you love it,
I bet she does
fortunately or
love the work.
unfortunately, because you get to do it together as a team. And for us, that means we're doing it as Sweet Baby Inc. What happens when you get harassed is that you forget who you are, but then you remember.
What? As someone who constantly gets harassed, I don't think I know what she's talking about. I don't think I've ever forgotten who I am in that point of time. Is this the whole thing? I wasn't gonna watch this whole thing, but I was fucking encapsulated by it, man.
We are writers, we are storytellers, we are narrative designers, we are creative, we are passionate, we are funny, and we are doing this because we love it.
We are funny, she says. I mean, yeah, I guess all of you guys are kind of a joke.
We love it so much, in fact, that we'll do it even through the worst months of our lives, because our lives ultimately are about stories. And as I wrap up, I want to say that that's frustrating too, because it makes it really hard to talk about. There is an instinct, I think, in all of us, or at least a desire to tell a good story. And this whole thing, whatever it is, isn't a very good story. There's not much of an arc, and frankly, there is no resolution as yet. Sometimes a story is just what happens.
Except I don't think that's anywhere near what has happened when they have worked on stories. If a story just kind of happens and you flesh it out, there's no real ideological anchor to it. You just start fleshing out a good story. You don't start shoehorning in things that don't make sense, and you don't start making characters' entire identity revolve around either their race or their sexuality. That's not a well thought out person.
And what happens is you get hurt, you feel bad, you get tired, you get scared, you get angry, you get sad, you get really, really good at Elden Ring. Thank you. I'm great at it now. But after that, you get back to work. Because what happens when you get harassed is that you have to live with it and they have to live with you. And so we'll see, I guess, what happens next. Thank you for your time.
Good Lord. If the harassment was real, she wouldn't be joking about it. I mean, I don't agree with that, right? I mean, you kind of make jokes about bad things to help you get through them. I just don't believe that the majority of the harassment they're claiming is actually real. I'm sure they're facing some, right? Because, even I get weird people sending me death threats or saying that I should hang myself because of my political opinions, or that weird guy who sent me all of the gore of Russians being blown up. I was I'm not even Russian. I don't want to see that, right? I don't know what you mean by this, sir. You've seen a few talks in your life? This is the cringiest, weakest shit ever. It was, what the fuck? Comedy about harassment's fine. If there is harassment, you can make a joke about using the concrete examples, not vague hand-wavery. Yeah. Fucking degenerates. The party of tolerance sending you threats for different political views. Mine. Could easily destroy her 1v1 on Elden Ring. I mean, I couldn't. I don't play Elden Ring. This talk is effective against retarded normies. It is, because it's all emotional appeal, and it's all lies. I wish for once any of them would be like, hey, our guy threw the first stone, he harassed a gamer, and that caused a ton of backlash, and maybe he shouldn't have done that. But they have zero accountability for any of their actions, because again, they are pushing their ideology by any means necessary. And that's why she also has to lie about they thought they were doing something secret, but they were just looking at our public website. Okay, then why did you say that you wanted to continue doing this without having the gamers notice? Okay, all right. People like this only exist in first world countries who don't know struggle. I mean, there have been third world countries co-opted by communism. They just, the violence is more overt rather than covert subversion. You like how she literally didn't mention any of her dumbass Sweet Baby games and went straight for a game everyone likes, you right? It's the smug aura of this cunt that really gets under the skin. True and real. Why is she like this? Why is she like this? Mildly OCD, thank you for the 5. You understand why Shakespeare depicts the average person as being easily swayed and kinda stupid? Also true and unfortunate. No. Let me, refresh my page here a sec. Scrubbing it, they literally are taking away people's entertainment with ideology. They are. A Beerhoven, thank you for the 9 months of Prum. Congrats on this, the day of your birth. If we could show the Soviets in 1950 what modern communism is, they would have stopped. Even old Shakespeare knew that much. Why didn't she say she got good at Kill the Justice League? I don't know. Isn't that a fundamentally different game than Elden Ring though? Like I don't think I'd put them in the same genre. Oh no, my stream elements is broken. She's just openly spiteful and hateful, man. What's wrong with her? She's motivated by ideology, is what's wrong with her. So the people who are against her, against her are the fundamentally evil ones. Lagnad, thank you for the 300 biddies. How many times did she say harassed or harassment? Well, it was a talk on being harassed, you know? Never mind Cameron saying that their goal is to burn the games industry down. Rebuild it in their image. They killed the Justice League, right? Oh my god. Mildly OCD, thank you for the 5. They're definitely directing a narrative, all right. True and real. Lord Varzil, thank you for the 5 gift subs, my guy. Thank you! Thank you.
Gripping it and gripping it and gripping it. Eat and gripping it and gripping it. Eat and gripping it and gripping it. Creep to the Kirsche like a phantom.
Why did the TTS not boom? Is he afraid of booming? Is our TTS an edgelord? Lord Brownbear, thank you for the 25. No booms allowed, only infinite edging. Syntax, a 90,000, thank you for the 500 biddies. You're here because you want to hear Kirsche expose the deep state in style. Fuck the glowies, true. MJKB92, thank you for the 5-month resub, my dude. Thank you. Lagnad, thank you for another 100 biddies. Agent Rude, thank you for the 2-month resub, my guy. Thank you. Sergeant Buck, thank you for the 10. To quote V, why are you siding with the customer? Yeah, imagine. A crud muffin, thank you for the 5. The last thing a cop hears in Quime Boss. Help. What was that? He's dead. It doesn't matter. Mikado, thank you for the tier 3 4-month resub. Thank you! You're glad I'm streaming. You'll be watching from the beginning on 2 times, but love the new Hate Us songs. Good luck with the presentation. That looks really fun. Oh, it was a blasty blast, man. Unclean Puppy, thank you for the 1,000 biddies. You see Train? You like Train? Sorry for interruption. No, your interruption is fine. Don't apologize when throwing money at my head. Trying to knock me out, dude. Kirsche is our true Oshi. Hold on, wait a minute. Sir Cool, thank you for the 100 biddies. She demanded everything be a part of the message, be part of the ideas she wants, and there to be zero escape. And now she's upset that her efforts have dripped into everything else. She got what she wanted and is upset it's not what she dreamed. I feel like her perspective is probably they haven't done enough work yet, right? Once companies are not only giving them private support, but are pushing back publicly and basically also saying, get out, gamer chuds, games were never for you and we don't like you. I don't think she will perceive that her work is done until that happens. And obviously our goal is to make sure it doesn't get to that point. Canna Dave, thank you for the 2-month resub, my guy. Thank you. Andrew, thank you for the $10 doodles. Oh, with regard to the symbols associated with child predators, you wouldn't be surprised if there are a few monsters within Sweet Baby. They need to be barred from the industry for causing untold damage, maybe tried. I mean, they haven't done anything illegal, right? It's not illegal to be subversive and push ideology in the way they are, which is why they've been able to do it, not the Sweet Baby people, but communists in general, for decades. Also, I would not want to start slinging allegations of child predation, especially with Sweet Baby, because that is a one-way ticket to getting everything you say completely discounted. When you are talking about people and the damage they and their companies do, you have to make sure you are operating off of fact and what can be visibly seen, or at least if it's something internal that you have evidence of it happening. If you start talking about like baseless accusations or rumors, everything you say can and will be completely thrown out.